British intelligence reported in February 2002 that the Israeli Mossad ran the Arab hijacker cells that were later blamed by the U.S. government's 9/11 Commission for carrying out the aerial attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. WMR has received details of the British intelligence report, which was suppressed by the government of then Prime Minister Tony Blair. A Mossad unit consisting of 6 Egyptian and Yemeni-born Jews infiltrated al-Qaeda cells in Hamburg, the Atta Mamun Darkhanzali cell, South Florida, and Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates in the months before 9/11. The Mossad not only infiltrated cells but began to run them and give them specific orders that would eventually culminate in their being on board 4 regularly scheduled flights originating in Boston, Washington Dulles, and Newark, New Jersey on 9/11. The Mossad infiltration team comprised 6 Israelis, comprising 2 cells of 3 agents, who all received special training at a Mossad base in the Negev desert in their future control and handling of the al-Qaeda cells. One Mossad cell traveled to Amsterdam, where they submitted to the operational control of the Mossad's Europe station, which operates from the El Al complex at Schiphol International Airport. The 3-man Mossad unit then traveled to Hamburg, where it made contact with Mohammed Atta, who believed they were sent by Osama bin Laden. In fact, they were sent by Ephraim Halevi, the chief of Mossad. The second 3-man Mossad team flew to New York and then to southern Florida, where they began to direct the al-Qaeda cells operating from Hollywood, Miami, Vero Beach, Delray Beach, and West Palm Beach. Israeli art students, already under investigation by the Drug Enforcement Administration for casing the offices and homes of federal law enforcement officers, had been living among and conducting surveillance of the activities, including flight school training, of the future Arab hijacker cells, particularly in Hollywood and Vero Beach. In August 2001, the first Mossad team flew with Atta and other Hamburg al-Qaeda members to Boston. Logan International Airport Security was contracted to Huntley USA, a firm owned by an Israeli airport security firm closely connected to Mossad. Mossad's International Consultants on Targeted Security, or ICTS. ICTS's owners were politically connected to the Likud party, particularly the Netanyahu faction, and then Jerusalem mayor and future Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. It was Olmert who personally interceded with New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani to have released from prison 5 urban moving systems employees, identified by the CIA and FBI agents as Mossad agents. The Israelis were the only suspects arrested anywhere in the United States on 9/11 who were thought to have been involved in the 9/11 attacks. The 2 Mossad teams sent regular coded reports on the progress of the 9/11 operation to Tel Aviv via the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. WMR has learned from a Pentagon source that leading Americans tied to the media effort to pin 9/11 on Arab hijackers, Osama bin Laden, and the Taliban were present in the Israeli embassy on September 10, 2001, to coordinate their media blitz for the subsequent days and weeks following the attacks. It is more than likely that FBI counterintelligence agents who conduct surveillance of the Israeli embassy have proof on the presence of the Americans present at the embassy on September 10th. Some of the Americans are well known to U.S. cable news television audiences. In mid-August, the Mossad team running the Hamburg cell in Boston reported to Tel Aviv that the final plans for 9/11 were set. The Florida-based Mossad cell reported that the documented presence of the Arab cell members at Florida flight schools had been established. The 2 Mossad cells studiously avoided any mention of the World Trade Center or targets in Washington, D.C. in their coded messages to Tel Aviv. Halevi covered his tracks by reporting to the CIA of a general threat by an attack by Arab terrorists on a nuclear plant somewhere on the east coast of the United States. CIA Director George Tenet dismissed the Halevi warning as too nonspecific. The FBI, under soon-to-be departed Director Louis Freeh, received the nonspecific warning about an attack on a nuclear power plant and set out the information in its routine bulletins to field agents, but no high alert was ordered. The lack of a paper trail pointing to al-Qaeda as the masterminds on 9/11, which could then be linked to al-Qaeda's Mossad handlers, threw off the FBI. On April 19, 2002, FBI Director Robert Mueller, in a speech to San Francisco's Commonwealth Club, stated, "In our investigation, we have not uncovered a single piece of paper, either here in the United States or in the treasure trove of information that has turned up in Afghanistan and elsewhere, that mentioned any aspect of the September 11th plot." The two Mossad al-Qaeda infiltration and control teams had also helped set up safe houses for the quick exfiltration of Mossad agents from the United States. Last March, WMR reported, WMR has learned from two El Al sources who worked for the Israeli airline at New York's John F. Kennedy Airport that on 9/11, hours after the Federal Aviation Administration grounded all civilian, domestic, and international incoming and outgoing flights to and from the United States, a full El Al Boeing 747 took off from JFK bound for Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion International Airport. The two El Al employee sources are not Israeli nationals, but legal immigrants from Ecuador who were working in the United States for the airline. The flight departed JFK at 4:11 p.m., and its departure was, according to El Al sources, authorized by the direct intervention of the U.S. Department of Defense. U.S. military officials were on the scene at JFK and were personally involved with the airport and air traffic control authorities to clear the flight for takeoff. According to the 9/11 Commission report, Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta ordered all civilian flights to be grounded at 9:45 a.m. on September 11th. WMR has learned from British intelligence sources that the 6-man Mossad team was listed on the El Al flight manifest as El Al employees. WMR previously reported that the Mossad cell operating in the Jersey City Weehawken area of New Jersey through Urban Moving Systems was suspected by some in the FBI and CIA of being involved in moving explosives into the World Trade Center, as well as staging false flag demonstrations at least 2 locations in New Jersey: Liberty State Park and an apartment complex in Jersey City as the first plane hit the World Trade Center's North Tower. One team of Urban Moving Systems Mossad agents was arrested later on September 11th and jailed for 5 months at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Some of their names turned up in a joint CIA-FBI database as known Mossad agents, along with the owner of Urban Moving Systems, Dominic Suter, whose name also appeared on a law enforcement-sensitive FBI 9/11 suspects list, along with the names of key hijackers, including Mohammed Atta and Hani Hanjour, as well as the so-called 20th hijacker, Zacharias Moussaoui. Sutter was allowed to escape the United States after the FBI made initial contact with him at the Urban Moving Systems warehouse in Weehawken, New Jersey, following the 9/11 attacks. Suter was later permitted to return to the United States, where he was involved in the aircraft parts supply business in southern Florida, according to an informed source who contacted WMR. Sutter later filed for bankruptcy in Florida for Urban Moving Systems and other businesses he operated: Suburban Moving and Storage Inc., Max Movers Inc., In Support, Wood Flooring Warehouse Corp., One Stop Cleaning LLC, and City Carpet Upholstery Inc. At the time of the bankruptcy filing in Florida, Suter listed his address as 1867 Fox Court, Wellington, Florida, with a phone number blah, blah, blah.